warm welcome back to this live show of a Thursday night on Sheffield Live TV. If you're watching part one, or missed it, you can catch up with it on my YouTube channel later. It's an all-fans show from two sports in particular tonight. Gentleman to my right-hand side here is the boss of the Cricket Barmy Army organisation, Chris Millard, Ian Bennett from Sheffield Wednesday Supporters Trust, and from the newly relaunched Sheffield United Supporters Trust, Wayne Shortland. And we left quite a few topics dangling in part one. Among those were takeover rumours at Sheffield Wednesday, which we'll come to in a minute. But Chris Millard, the Barmy Army organisation is quite high profile these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many members have you got?
So we've got 35,000 members, which is, yeah.
They give that for supporters at either end of the city.
Yeah. Well, we've got the whole country, so we're cheating a bit.
You are, you are. But that's a lot of people, 35,000.
Yeah, they're really passionate as well, and they've stuck with us through the difficult times of COVID, and it's been great to see the support we had for the Barmy Army and for English cricket is still thriving.
Difficult times represented by the fact that in Australia you were conspicuous by your absence, weren't you?
We were. We were very reliant on our expat members who did a great job, but were slightly outnumbered, as you can imagine.
But the West Indies coming up now, what's the situation there in terms of getting people over there and getting the Army singing again and whatever? So
the T20s are starting from this weekend, so we've got people over there right now, and then the Test matches are in March, so we've got plenty booked on that tour. It's the first one for pretty much 2 years, so you can imagine how high the demand's been. I don't think there's a hotel room left on the whole of Barbados for the week we're there.
And you're looking forward to going, obviously.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
A lot of hard work involved in organising that, though, I can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. We were chatting to the guys off there about the effort and time that goes into organising fans of a supporters group. There's a lot of passion involved, but it is also a job, you know. Yeah. There's a lot of organisation that needs to go into supplying the shirts, supplying the tickets for the members, supplying hotel rooms, flights for us. It is quite a logistical challenge, so especially when you're in the West Indies and there's different governments with different rules, but we'll not get into that now. Right,
well, I'll talk to you in a bit about whether you can actually enjoy it when you get out there, and having seen some of your videos, I think I know the answer to that. I think you certainly can. And also Sheffield FC will crop up in the conversation, because you're involved in a project there, which is quite interesting. So if I don't mention it, just give me a nudge and remind me of that. We'll come to that before the end of the programme. Ian Bennett, results on the field, particularly at a club like Sheffield Wednesday in the third tier, are everything really. You have a great performance like last Saturday. The focus is entirely on that. But the moment it goes slightly off the boil, everything's wrong all of a sudden, isn't it? And
I think this season the expectations were always going to be high. The turnaround of players is going to be difficult even for the manager. The manager's received some flack. I can't see, apart from once again an intransigence and a reluctance to change tactics, that anybody can criticise with 15, 16, 17 new players. I think we're still in with a shout. They're still gelling. There's a lot of quality there, and if you went through the side at 1 to 11 and offered most of the players to any other club in that division, they'd take every one.
I totally agree with you. I think the onus is for this season on the manager and players to deliver more so than on the chairman to deliver, because I think the chairman, Shansiri, has delivered in terms of the calibre of signing, despite the difficulties. And if you look at that squad, I think the majority around the first team have had championship experience and done well in the championship, which is your point.
Yes, Ian, very much so, very much so. There's a lot of quality in and around the squad, and it's getting that out of it. Again, I think you're right. There's a lot of onus on the players to deliver. If, again, going back to the point about Mr. Chansiri and his engagement, if he engaged more, I think he'd get more credit for what he's tried to do. There's financial instability there, and he's got to be honest about it. But the bottom line is we've got the best we could possibly get, I think, bar one or two players, and they're far better than a lot of the squads in that division. So it's delivery time, innit, yeah? And you could see that we're one of the clubs that could go on and win 10, 12, 15 games on the bounce, or be unbeaten for that, as we did before, but we just didn't push the games over the finishing line. The bad performances worry. because there seems to be a lack of commitment when it goes wrong, and I don't know if that comes from the top, if it is the manager or if it is the player's fault.
In fairness, there was a break, a lull, which kind of knocked them off their rhythm, but it doesn't forgive a 5-0 defeat at Sunderland or a 1-0 loss at Shrewsbury. But they looked very much on it, didn't they, against Plymouth last Saturday? So
if the commitment had been shown at Sunderland that all the fans did to get past the accident on the motorway, it's incredible. Yeah. So probably I've got 3 or 4 speeding tickets trying to get up there after we got past it. But
well, supporters will go to. Well, hopefully not. But supporters will go to any lengths, won't they,
to get there?
To get there. I mean, that's one thing in common with both Sheffield clubs. In times, both had greater times than this by far, but the support is exceptional. Both of them, really.
Definitely. I mean, I went to Preston Tuesday. I think there were about 3,500 United fans there. On a Tuesday night, that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Your season's on a knife edge too, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's just a matter of waiting and see, and just see what we can achieve. Hopefully, we'll get there. But
do you think that United will get in the playoffs now?
We'll see.
Games in hand, but
games in hand, yeah. I mean, we had that good run just before Christmas, and then obviously we had COVID, which I think that knocked us off as a rhythm a little bit.
Well, the antics of some other clubs, shall we say, and getting postponements and getting games off.
Yes, COVID and injuries is
put United really at an unfair disadvantage there. The squad, like with Wednesday, is very, very experienced. And you would say for the level that it should be higher in the league than it is. Whether that's a combination of managerial upheaval or not.
Yeah, it is, Obviously, they've got to play one way, then another way, then learn to adapt. And
I think the consensus is there's going to be big changes at Bramall Lane in the summer, whatever division United are in, because that squad's been together an awful long
time now.
And Wednesday could tell you what happens when a squad goes stale, couldn't they?
I mean, I'm speaking from afar, but looking at United, I think just to the tail end of Wilder's reign, a fantastic job he did. Some of the signings, and whether they were his signings or whether they were political or whatever, left a lot to be desired with the monies that they were spent on them. Not so much the players, but because I'm sure there could have been better signings at the time that would have probably kept you up another season. Yeah.
I think it was the fans, the lack of fans, what sent us down, because we are the 12th, 13th man, 12th man, but the fans. The lack of fans and playing behind closed doors, it's just horrendous.
Despite all this, and despite the acknowledgement, and despite the lip service that's paid by people in high places in football to the fans or everything, there's still a reluctance within the game. It's not just at 2 football clubs here, a reluctance from the top levels downwards in the game to embrace support. And what do? By arrangements with TV companies, ridiculous kick-off times at the other end of the country to suit television. It's riding roughshod over people, isn't it?
Of course it is. I mean, we've got Birmingham on a Friday night in a couple of weeks' time, which is a 7:45 kick-off. I know it's on a Friday, but we had the Fulham game changed, where people lost money on train tickets, all because it's Sky and television.
Do you think that the argument which is gaining ground now for an independent regulator is the right way to go?
Well, as you probably know, Alan, the trust has been heavily involved with the FLR.
That's the FLR, the football.
The review, fan-led review. That's correct. Yeah, and I think the golden ticket is a good thing. I think as long as they're democratically elected as a supporter on the board from any walk of the fan base, it doesn't matter if they're a member of our fan base or if it's just Mr. Blogs off the street. As long as there's somebody there who can look at it, I think there's a real taste from that review to get the supporters more involved. And I think it's a real opportunity again at our club, and I don't know what you think at Bramall Lane, but to be proactive instead of reactive and be one of the forward thinkers and get people involved from the fan base.
Yeah, the golden ticket will give supporters a right of veto to something, say, controversial, like changing the colours that the team playing, or
that's
name of
right.
the ground, that kind of thing.
But if somebody sat on the board, and I think it gives you that link, doesn't it? It gives a link between the supporters, and which I don't think at many levels has ever been there apart from fan-owned clubs, as Chesterfield are now.
Yes, yes. Well, it's now owned by the Community Trust, and
Yes,
sort of things are going very, very well. Thank you, apart from the other night. The other night was very, very unexpected.
I think something similar has happened at Liverpool, hasn't it? Because they've now got a board of fans who are actually involved with the board itself. So that's something that we are going to look at.
Needs to happen. It's encouraging if it's happening at a major club like that, because that's stopping the European Super Leagues and things like that.
I'll be speaking to Joe at Spirit of Shankly very soon.
Will you?
Yeah,
okay.
and just see what he says, his
That's
take
good.
on it. Yeah,
that's good. Something to feed back also to the board at Sheffield United. So the takeover rumours then, Ian. Do you think there's anything in it? I mean, obviously, it would take a willingness from Mr. Shansiri to sell the club. Has he been disaffected to the extent that he would look to?
I think there's a couple of things in there. The amount of money that he's going to want for the club to get his stake back, that might be a barrier, a large barrier. I've not heard, I spoke to you, I've not heard the rumours about Ashley.
Mike Ashley, this is the former Newcastle owner. I mean, look, as far as I'm aware, there's nothing in it, apart from possibly a wish by some supporters that somebody like him would get involved. Would you accept him?
I have again, probably me being different, but I have a different take on Ashley, because I think he put a lot of money into Newcastle. I think Newcastle fans as a whole think they're a bigger club than what they are, although they're a big supported club. I think their expectations are higher. He ploughed a lot of money into it. And I think he got a rum deal out of it. He might be very much the way he runs it. He's dispassionate, but he turned up every week. You saw him at the game every week, and he ploughed a lot of money into it. So a different take on it. I think if he came to somebody with less, even if it were Derby and he turned Derby around, which I'm sure we'll speak about later, but if he turned a club like Derby around, it'd be welcome, because you don't want to see clubs going out of business, the Buddy fiasco, etc., etc. And that comes from the finance at the top, why it isn't trickled down, why the effect isn't working. And I'm sure that'll be the same in cricket. There's finance at the top of the one-day game that doesn't trickle through to grassroots.
Well, the media link is more Mike Ashley and Derby County, and a suggestion that he would be interested. Now, if he'd be interested in Derby County, it would make sense for him to be interested in Sheffield Wednesday, so shall we say, club of similar size, should be in the same division as each other, and obviously
my own personal view is I would welcome that interest. A lot of people are probably different for personal reasons. The
thing about that is, nobody I can quote, but a couple of quite high-profile people that I know. One is a manager, and one is a famous ex-footballer. Have both said to me that they would welcome Mike Ashley at Sheffield Wednesday, and that he would be, shall we say, a good or better owner. From the perspective, two perspectives. One, there's never been a criticism of his financing of Newcastle. He's always put money in, and a lot of it. And despite the word you used of him being dispassionate, the benefit of that is that a manager could get on with the job without interference. And if you've got the right manager and you've got the support of somebody like Mike Ashley, then it could run well.
I 100% agree. 100% agree with that. I think the thing is you've got to take a reasoned look at how people are. Ashley seems to, as you said, let the managers run with it, let the players run with it, put the money in there and bite the managers. You can't ever say he hasn't.
No, you can't. I mean, the thing is, are the demands of Newcastle supporters, do they think they're perhaps a bit bigger than they are? Okay, 52,000 people probably have a right to win something now and again, which they haven't done. Sheffield FC. We're going to come back to these guys in a minute. Sheffield FC. I know you've got a soft spot for them. We all have. Everybody in football should have, as the oldest club in the world. And you went to see them, didn't you, last Saturday?
I did, yeah. On Tuesday night, actually. Yeah, one of the best games I've ever seen. A 45-yard volley from the halfway line, lobbed the keeper to start us off at 1-0. So no, it was brilliant to get down to a local game and take in the atmosphere. 251 people there, so 251 like-minded people enjoyed that thrashing of Pontefract. So
great stuff.
It was great.
I think people are discovering the non-league game. People have probably not seen it before. Hallam are getting incredible crowds, over 1,000 at one game. And Sheffield FC are sort of marooned a little bit in Derbyshire at the moment, North Derbyshire, just in Dronfield there at the Coach and Horses. But we know that there are real plans to move them to Meadowhead in Sheffield. Do you know very much about that?
Yes, I do actually. Yeah, great question. We're involved in the process of working with Richard Timms, the chairman of Sheffield FC, on the developments there, and hoping to have a base for the Barmy Army and the Root Academy on the site there for the cricket side. So it's a big space at transport, and we think it'd be great. And the segue into Sheffield to have the world's first football club, home of the Barmy Army, and hopefully the Root Academy on the same site.
So you're effectively in partnership with Richard Timms.
We are, yeah. We've got a unique partnership with that, where our members get access to their tickets and their fanware at a discounted rate. Being the world's first football club, we feel everyone can have a soft spot for them and come to a game and have the experience of being a Barmy Army cricket fan. But if you're a football fan as well, which the majority are, they get to go and watch the world's first at some point as well.
And the Root Academy being there.
Yeah, we're also partnered with the Root Academy, and as you know, Joe is a Sheffield lad, and I'm sure he has a very much a soft spot for Sheffield FC and also the Barmy Army for following him and supporting him for many years.
This would take a financial commitment then on the part of the Barmy Army?
It would at some point, yeah. I think we're not at that stage yet, but I think when we get to that stage, hopefully it's a good conversation to have, that we can have our headquarters there, keep the cricket alive on that site, but also help Sheffield FC with the growth and development there.
Joe Root, what a sort of topsy-turvy, incredible year and a half he's had. We're all proud of him, aren't we? Both sides of Sheffield here, even though he's a Blade.
He's a Blade. Big Sheffield United fan.
Yeah.
I think one of the topics we touched on again just before we started this evening was the incredible thing is he's the top Test run scorer in a year when they've had such a terrible run as a team, and he's the captain. How much concentration, that much take? You've got to be proud of the guy, haven't you? You've got to think.
Absolutely, I feel sorry for him in the sense he's not been able to enjoy his own form with the bat.
Yeah.
I mean, you know him. It's a bit like Billy Sharp scoring a hat-trick as he did it in one game. Where was that? Aston Villa. He got a hat-trick and United ended up folding to a 3-3 draw, didn't they?
I remember that really well, yes. Thank you.
Nobody was as, I was going to swear there, as fed up with that result than the guy who got a hat-trick.
Exactly.
So I'm applying that to Joe Root. He gets 100, 150 or whatever, the team loses. How's he feeling?
Begrudged about the rest of the team's performance, I would imagine, but it's hard because he's the ties man and he's the captain. But if you ask him, it's team before player. He's very much all about the team, all about the success. He'd have taken scoring 200 runs all year, but winning the Ashes, hands down. He is about the team, and I think it just upsets him that he can't get more out of the lads that are on tour with him. And he obviously does his bit and scores a significant amount of runs in nearly every game he plays, but then the lads always seem to let him down. So it's been really, really frustrating to watch as a fan when you've got the captain, probably one of the greats of the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years playing for you, that he's in a team that isn't supporting him in his success. But I do feel that fate will turn. It'll turn around, and he's only just turned 31, so he's got a lot of cricket left in him.
Yeah, but you'd imagine there'll be a big turnover in that Test team, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be a reset, and I think for the right reasons as well, and build towards the next Ashes at home in 2023.
Yeah, well, let's hope Joe Root does turn it. Interestingly, there's often a clamour for, just as there is for a manager to be sacked when a football team isn't doing well, there's often a clamour for the Test cricket captain to be sacked. But that hasn't happened, has it? As far as I'm aware, anyway, it's not happening.
No, I think there's been a little discussion on social media around the coaching staff and the way that they go in that direction, but I don't think anyone's really scrutinised Jones to the position where he should lose his job. I think if you asked him, he'd love to stay in the role for a significant amount of time, just to, I guess, prove everyone wrong and build a team that is capable of winning an Ashes. And I think that's probably going to be his goal. The next Ashes at home, win that, and then hopefully he can hang his captain's armband up and
enjoy playing.
And enjoy it
playing.
And become the top run scorer of all time.
Which he's got, a wonderful opportunity of doing, because he could play to nearly 40, possibly.
Absolutely. Well, look at Jimmy Anderson. He's a bowler.
He's bowling to nearly 40. How can that
and staying up till 6 a.m.
Yeah, as they were the other night, or the other morning, shall we say.
Allegedly.
Sheffield United getting in the playoffs, you think? You still think that?
I live in hope, Alan.
Okay.
I live in hope.
I don't. I live in southwest Sheffield. But
Yeah.
Sheffield Wednesday, to say playoffs would be considered a bit of a failure, wouldn't it?
I think so. But from now, I'd take that.
You'd take
I think if they hit the form that they can do, I think we could get through it. We could get through the playoffs and get back up again. Then it's a reset again, innit? That's the thing. So, I am disappointed in some of the performances, but it must be very, very difficult to bet a team in like that in a short period of time. But again, I think the quality speaks for itself. And
there seems to be a reflex, particularly when a club is underachieving, to call for the manager's head quite quickly. And, you and I have been around, and I've dealt with possibly around 50 Sheffield Wednesday managers. And the one thing over the years I've noticed is that most of the time, a change of manager doesn't work.
No.
You've seen that as well.
Yeah, I think over the years there's been this cloud over Wednesday, where perhaps in my lifetime, and there has been successes along there, but perhaps only Atkinson has had that air about him that were successful, and it took a relegation for him to get there as well. Even back to the season when they went back up to the First Division, when Chelsea won it, record number of points, they didn't win the league. There's a siege mentality at Hillsborough sometimes. I think that we always seem to cop the wrong end of the stick, right back to the Swanee thing. And and the thing when Sunderland,
the bribe scandal in the 1960s,
and then the Sunderland debacle when they were promoted after finishing 6th in the division before, when Swindon got relegated, the stuff that happened after Di Canio, various other things that there's like an air around the club that they seem to be put upon.
I think Sheffield United would share that sentiment.
Yeah,
there seems to be that cloud, and let's hope in 2022 we can start to see it lifted at both Bramall Lane and Hillsborough. Certainly there are plenty of people willing it to happen, and the level of support, over 20,000 average at both ends of the city, is a credit really, and shows how much people care.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's hope that care is recognised by football club owners and football club administrators and cricket administrators, widely in this year. Well, it's been great to chat, and I wish you well, both of you, in your attempts, very worthy attempts, to form a closer relationship and fill that void of disconnect between the hierarchies at Hillsborough and Bramall Lane and the supporters. Wayne Shortland from the Sheffield United Supporters Association, Ian Bennett from the Sheffield Wednesday Supporters Trust, and also Chris Millard from the Barmy Army. Thanks very much indeed. It's on YouTube later if you missed. Thanks for watching. See you. Bye-bye.